And to this day, Marie should still be the queen of the country in which shimmering Christmas forests and glazed marzipan's castles. In short, the marvelous things you can imagine can be seen if only if you look. The end. With this little sigh, little Timmy slowly closed the book, gets up and places it on the corner of his books, as his mother calls the pile of corner books of the room where Timmy puts his books. Did you finish that already, honey? Yeah, Timmy responds, his voice trembling from the cold. Did you like it? I will take you to the bookshop and get another one for the holidays, and then the weather becomes better. Timmy's mother says, before she is struck by a coughing fit, it has been snowing heavily for days now, and the two of them have been trapped in their own home, while the old stove in the basement has broken down, and there was no heating in this house. It's okay, Mom, I don't really need one right now, Timmy said despite his young age, knows his mother didn't have much money, and doesn't want to put any pressure on her. He jumps on the couch next to his mother as she strokes his hair affectionately, as the two of them huddle together for to continue to fight off the growing cold. During the night, it is just a little past midnight and little Timmy is laying on his bed, tightly clutching his raggedy blanket close to his chest. He is having trouble going to sleep. His mother's muffled crying and rasping coughing could be heard through at the wall. He pulls the blanket over his head to try and fend off both the lingering cold and his mother's suffering. Having trouble sleeping, little one? A voice spoke up from the foot of the bed. With a swift move, a wooden nutcracker toy soldier climbs onto the bed and sits on Timmy's little leg. Little Timmy peeks out from under the blanket. Hi, Alexandre, the boy said with a frail voice. Worried about your mother, eh? The old toy soldier says, adjusting the wooden hat on his wooden head. Little Timmy nods in agreement. Is she having a rough night, isn't she? Alexandre pauses for a moment. But I heard you just finished your book. How was it? It was good. You're not in the mood for talking, eh? Alexandre scratched off the wood chip from his knee. He looked sternly at little Timmy. Well, I'll tell you what, lad. I'll take care of this. I will go down to the basement and see what I can do about the little stove. I want to help too, little Timmy says, his voice getting stronger. That's the spirit, lad. Have a good night's sleep now. With that, Alexandre takes a bow, jumps off the bed. Little Timmy is very glad that he has Alexandre. He is shy, sickly, and small in frame, and he doesn't have very much he can call his friends. Alexandre is there for him ever since he can remember, taking care of him now since he was young. These thoughts float in Timmy's mind as he falls into the warm embrace of a deep sleep. Morning then comes. Little Timmy spends the day taking care of his mother as he cleans around the house, cooks and caters to her needs. Her condition has worsened during the night. She is feverish and can't stop coughing. She is stuck to her bed for the whole day. To keep her warm, Timmy gave her his blanket. No matter how she refused, still the house was terribly cold and the stove remains broken. Night falls again. Timmy bids his mother good night and goes for his bed. He has no blanket. Instead, he uses the heaviest clothes he could find in his wardrobe. In the cold still, stinging was harsh. It was trembling breath. He lays down and closes his eyes. Psst! Lad, are you asleep? Alexandre opens the toy box and walks slowly towards the bed. Little Timmy groggily opened his eyes, almost changed his face as the soldier greets him. Sorry to wake you up, but I think I found out what the problem with your stove is. The basement is covered in snow. In snow? How? Timmy's timid voice speaks out. There is snow everywhere, on the floor, on the shelves, everywhere, I say. How is the pause? Timmy's sentence was interrupted by heavy coughing from his mother's room. Alexandre looked at Timmy stolidly. Tomorrow, I will go down there and take care of it. Do not worry, lad. The toy soldier then tries to smooth Timmy. Suddenly the sound of a door slamming shut echoes the house and little Timmy gasps. Must have been the wind, Alexandre says. Then just outside the room, footsteps, slow and steady footsteps, like someone is dragging to his feet. Little Timmy hides under the covers, while Alexandre stands up. The footsteps abruptly stop. The door to the mother's room creaks open. The footsteps resumed. Someone has entered the home. "Stay here, lad," Alexander whispers to little Timmy before he jumps down the bed and goes for the door. He jumps to the handle, pulls it down, but the door does not open. Locked? The door to his mother's room closes shut. Timmy starts sobbing lightly. Alexander frantically jumps around the room, trying to find the key. Then from his mother's room, a loud moan. "Mommy!" Timmy cries. Alexandre is livid, eyes darting around and mind racing for a way out. The moans get louder and louder until they suddenly stop, replaced by rhythmic wheezing. Alexandre moves under a stool under the handle, climbs on and jams the metal sword in the lock and frantically moves around. The door clicks and the toy soldier jumps out, his wooden boots clacking across the cold, hard floor. He then turns to his mother's room, but he reaches the door, it swings open, and a wild gust of wind blows into the hallway, lifting Alexandre and slamming the door against the wall. Then an eerie silence falls upon the house. Only muffled crying of little Timmy and the heavy breathing of the mother disturb the stillness of the cold night. The weak morning sun rays break through the dark clouds. "Mommy, Mommy, please wake up!" Little Timmy begs for his mother. She has grown deathly pale, and she is very cold. She's still breathing with difficulty, and she's shaking. "I warmed you some milk. Please drink it. It'll do you good." But she does not respond, lost in two deep, feverish dreams. Little Timmy places the glass of milk on the nightstand and turns to leave. He has a lot of housework to do during the day, though. He takes great care to stay away from the basement door. The moon shines brightly in the sky. "Lad, is everything all right?" Alexander jumps out of the toy chest and sits on the windowsill next to Timmy, who had been staring out of the window for the past hour. Alexandre's left hand was bruised and red paint was scratched off, while a button is missing from his torso from the scuffle last night. "I gathered some dry wood and branches. I will light the old stove and we'll be warm again." "What about the thing?" "Don't be scared, little Timmy. Alexandre will take care of it," the toy soldier says with a warm smile. "Anyway, I'll see you guys start writing that story you were telling me about," he says, pointing at the notebook by the nightstand. "How is it going? This must be fun." "It's great. I'm at the part where Jack sneaks into the Mouse King's castle to save Eliza." "Oh, I am eager to read it, Jack. Sounds like a very fun lad." "He is very brave, but not as brave as his guardian," little Timmy says, his gaze wandering off in the distance. Alexander sighs. "I'll go fire up the stove for a moment and then return to talk about more of your story, all right, lad?" Little Timmy gives Alexandre a fleeting, nervous glance as Alexander bows his head and backs away. An hour had passed and Alexander had still not returned, nor is the stove lit. Little Timmy's growing more anxious by the minute. He first fears the worst, thinking of what Alexander would do for him. He decides to go to the basement. With trembling hands, he opens the door. His mother is fast asleep. Little Timmy covers her exposed to the cold body with her blankets and starts the long walk down the basement. This seemed to have stopped while Timmy makes his way to the basement door. The insistent wind has ceased blowing and the house is plunged into complete silence. He takes a deep breath. With the shaking hands, reaches for the doorknob. The old door opens, the rusty hinges groaning under the weight of the metal door. The cold breath of the darkness below hits little Timmy in the face. For a moment it will his father's, but he steels himself and pushes his legs down the slippery stairs. The open, dark mouth of the basement below, staring back into his little heart. Slowly but steadily, little Timmy descends into the abyss. The further down he goes, the colder and darker it gets. Snow and ice have now formed on the stairs. Then Timmy reaches for the door of the basement. He gets on his toes to reach the light switch, but is completely frozen and stuck in a place. Darkness and cold envelops the little boy. In front of him, stands down an old stove, asleep and dormant. All the boxes and old shelves around there are just in the shadows of the dark. Alexandre thought it was nowhere to be seen. Timidly, little Timmy takes a little step forward. As soon as his foot lands, a gust of wind blows from the back of the basement, swirling snow and stuff around. Timmy covers himself as best he can. When the ruckus stops, a tall white silhouette stands in the middle of the room. The man-like creature is crouched over with its thin torso almost floating on its lean limbs. Its skin was a pouch-like texture and breaks up and over there, and the creature sniffs the air and turns towards Timmy. Its black eyes were met as his and the creature's start to move towards Timmy, who can only watch paralyzed. "Over here!" Alexandre's voice echoes in the basement, pulling Timmy out of his trance. Little Timmy follows the voice and finds the toy soldier hiding under a shelf. A pile of wood stood by his side as he is very in a dire state. His torso is also cracked, wind splinters spearing out from his body, and his right leg is severed from the knee down. To stand up, he is also using a branch as a crutch. "We don't have much time. You need to go quickly put the wood in the stove. That creature will drive in the way and heat the house. I'll distract him quickly." Alexandre starts hoping at the other side of the room, while little Timmy grabs the wood and branches, sneaks his way to the stove. "Over here, you big snowflake!" Alexandre shouts at the creature, which turns and gallops towards him. Its bony spine arched its back, and sharp claws clicking the floor. Little Timmy is halfway to the stove, but slips on the branches scattered across the floor, and with a noise, the creature stops in its tracks and turns towards the little boy. It glanced at the pile of wood on the floor and then the stove. With a greedy laugh, it grabs the wood, which dissolves under its touch. Then it moves closer to Timmy, who backs away as fast as he can. Alexandre sprints as fast as his one leg allows him to get between the creature and Timmy. "Over my dead body," the soldier says, unsheathing his sword and glaring down the vile beast. The beast falls upon all fours and slowly prowls towards Alexandre, who stands tall, its shoulder blades bobbing up and down, but it stops right in front of the soldier and looks down on him, its black eyes examining the little thing that stands between it and its prey. Alexandre assumes it's a defensive stance. The beast then goes to move towards him and little Timmy, uninterested in the soldier. Alexandre strikes it with the two quick slashes. Two red streaks of splatter across the floor. The beast lets out an angry cry. The soldier moves back onto a more defensive and steadies himself. "For little Timmy, be strong for little Timmy," it whispers under its breath. The beast lets out another bone-chilling cry as it stands on its feet. When it comes back down, it strikes at Alexandre, throwing him onto the other side. His head hits the hard wall, his hat splintering into thousands of pieces, and his sword being thrown out of his reach. The last thing the soldier sees before his strength leaves him is his creature lunging towards little Timmy, who screams in fear. Alexandre's eyes close, and his world fades to black. Little Timmy is now backed against the corner of the basement, clutching the box as he held as a shield in front of him. The creature tears the box apart. Little Timmy starts crying as the creature grabs his leg. The creature smashes Timmy against one of the cardboard boxes. Before it can grab him again, little Timmy opens his tearful eye. On one of the opening of the stove stands Alexandre. Both his broken legs were off. Half of his torso was gone and his head was cracked. Somehow he managed to climb on the stove. Below him on the floor, where he crawled, were wood splinters, a part of the toy soldier. "You made it," little Timmy thinks, as his heart was filled with new hope. The eyes of Alexandre met with little Timmy's. The wooden nutcracker's toy soldier smiles warmly. "I will take care of it, lad. I promise." With that, Alexandre pushes himself into the old stove, which flares up a powerful red flames. Blinding the white light, and shoots out a wave of heat that follows the shakes in the foundations of the room. First, the aestheticals quickly melt off, and the snow evaporates into mist, and then the wave engulfs the creature. its white skin catching on fire like old parchment. It lets out a scream of agony, flames shooting out from its body. A big hole opens up in its chest as it falls into its knees. It looks at the hands as they were burned off its body, shattering the evaporating upon hitting the floor. The creature finally vaporizes into a dark smoke. Old little Timmy now stands in the basement. After he recollects himself, he shakily exits the basement. The house is now warm. He walks into his mother's room. The mother sat upwards on the bed, calmly drinking the warm milk Timmy had made her earlier. Little Timmy runs to her and gives her a hug in his warm, starlit room. Little Timmy finishes writing his story, then gets up from the desk and walks towards his toy chest. He carefully places the notebook into the wooden box. With the Mouse King defeated, Jack and Eliza lived happily ever after, with Alex always watching them from above, smiling warmly, Jack's ever-loving guardian. The end.